Everyone, welcome back to Little Jays Talk. We're doing game number 2 of the regular season between the Toronto Blue Jays and Baltimore Orioles. If you're just popping in to say hello, I'll let you know right off the hop the Blue Jays won 8-2 over the Baltimore Orioles. And you know what? Baseball is a funny game, and we saw that in more than one way tonight. Right from the first inning, Bo Bichette comes up, hits an absolute rocket right at the left fielder, out. Tough at bat, he's hitting everything square, he's lining everything up, but he's just not getting much results at this point. And then Vladdy Guerrero comes up and basically takes like a little half swing, a little check swing that he was in between swing decisions on, and boom, he gets a single through the left side there for a base hit. And then Anthony Santander comes up behind him, ropes one to right field on a line, hits the base of the wall kind of midway up, and unfortunately he hit it so hard it bounced right to Tyler O'Neill off the wall that he was only able to get a single, and Guerrero was only able to go from first to third on the play, which was the right call. I think both of them would have been thrown out just given how quickly the right fielder got the ball. And then unfortunately Jimenez struck out swinging and Kirky struck out swinging, so they were unable to do anything with the scoring chance. Kevin Gausman was dialed in again. Second inning, he went 3 up, 3 down. He looked really good. Springer came up, lined out. Wagner hit a double, but again, we had a Lucas strikeout and an Alan Roden ground out, so we were unable to do anything with the runner in scoring position. Move on to the third inning. Gausman still looks pretty dialed in. He gets Mountcastle out, and then Holiday takes him dead center for a home run. It was a nice hit by the kid, 425 feet. Not much you can say about it. To steal a John Schneider quote, you got to tip your cap on that one. He made a decent pitch, and Holiday just did damage with it. He was able to settle down after that and get Mateo and Cowser out. So it was 1-0 Orioles after the top of the third. And in the bottom of the third, Morton kind of shut us down again. Bichette grounded out. Guerrero doubled to right. Santander fouled out to third base, kind of a lazy little fly there, so that was kind of, disappointing to see after having the guy in scoring position. And again, the Jays are unable to do anything with it, as it's still 1-0 at this point. Top of 4, Rutschman walks, Westbrook strikes out, O'Hearn singles, so you're starting to get some, a little bit scared here as O'Hearn singles, it goes first and third, and then Tyler O'Neill was able to hit a sac fly to make it 2-0 Orioles in the top of 4, but that's where he limited the damage to. Come out in the bottom of 4th, and this is where things got moving for the Jays finally. And I was watching along with a lot of you guys in the stream on Blue Jays Today. And in the stream, there were a lot of people down on the team, and I had made a comment in the chat about, 4 hits, we've been getting runners in scoring position every inning. This is the time when we do some damage. Obviously, I didn't know anything, but it worked out that way. Kirk led off with a single off of Morton. Springer then followed that up with a single. Kirky moves to second. Wagner then singles again. So then we got bases loaded, none out. Nathan Lucas worked a heck of an at-bat. Let's see how many pitches this thing was. 6-pitch at-bat. So he went, he had 2 strikes on him, managed to work 2 more balls, gets the walked-in run. So it's now 2-1 Orioles with the bases loaded and none out. Alan Roden hits a sac fly, drives in another one. It's 2-2. They end up chasing Morton from the game here in just the bottom of the 4th, so that was good to see. And then wild pitch, and Will Wagner comes in to score, and everyone moves up. Bo Bichette then singles. Nathan Lucas goes to third. Vladdy Jr. hits a sac fly to center. Nathan Lucas scores, so now you've got a 4-2 game. And then Anthony Santander singled through the right side again as well before Jimenez flies out. But it's now 5-2 Jays at the end of 4 innings. So a big swing in momentum there. It was still 2-0 going into that inning. We'd been getting some chances, but after the way the first game went, we were still feeling kind of down. Like, is this really going to happen again? Are we going to, when are they going to tack on more runs, basically? But, the Jays pulled through and made it 5-2. So that was really, really a change in the tide at that moment. And then Gausman still dialed in, had a clean 5th. Suarez still pitching for the Orioles in the bottom of the 5th. And it was kind of an interesting inning because Springer looked good. Like, he got a single, and then he stole second base. And then he went to third on the throwing error by the catcher, and then he got picked off third. So it was kind of like a good job, and then to get thrown out at third base there, it was just not ideal at all. So yeah, that was kind of tough to see. Good on Springer on getting on and trying to force the action, but you can't get thrown out at third base. It just can't happen. And then anyways, 6th inning, Gausman still cruising. I think he got up to 97 pitches in this one, but he ended up with 6 innings pitched, I think 4 Ks, a couple walks maybe, and he left with a 5-2 lead when he was finished the top of the 6th. And in the bottom half there, Bichette singles to center field, scoring Nathan Lucas. So, and Lucas looked really good this game, honestly. He's last year he did really good batting against righties, and in this game he looked like he belonged out there. He had very professional at bats. He worked a walk in that bases loaded situation. He got on base. I have no issues with Nathan Lucas being in this lineup at all. He looks very solid, and I think he's going to be on the bench for at least a chunk of the year here, and I have no problems with that. Vladdy Guerrero, they tried to do like a hit and run. I know people were kind of harping on Vladdy swinging at a bad pitch, but with one out and Bichette on first, it really looked like it was. It was full count, and it looked like they did a planned hit and run. And, if you've ever played ball, you can't take that pitch. If he had, he takes ball 4 potentially, but it was a close pitch. It wasn't, it wasn't a mile out. It was maybe 2 or 3 inches off the plate. But, you're really leaving the guy out to dry there if you don't swing at the pitch. So, you know what? It is what it is. And then we move on to the 7th inning where Jimmy Garcia came in to pitch, and he looked good too. You know what? 3 up, 3 down, no stress, just the kind of relief innings you want to see. Bottom of 7 was a little bit interesting. I don't know how to say his first name. CNL Perez. He has kind of an interesting name there. He came in to pitch for Baltimore. He's a lefty with some really good stuff. He's normally a very legit relief pitcher, but Santander worked a walk. Jimenez got on an infield single. I think that was the one that tipped off the pitcher's glove. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was. It should have been a double play really, but the pitcher reached up for it and ended up tipping it, and everyone was safe. Kirky flies out to center. Springer struck out, and Ernie Clement came in to pinch hit. And this is what John Schneider had talked about earlier, maybe a couple weeks ago or a week ago, where he said he wanted to do a little bit better managing with, platoons and things like that and situational subs. And this was one of those. They had a lefty pitching, and Clement comes in to hit for Wagner, and you think, well, Wagner's been one of our best hitters. Like, why would you pull him from this game? But sure enough, Ernie Clement comes in, rips one down the left field line, beautiful shot, makes it 8-2, and then this is the part where at least I personally started to exhale. I'm like, okay, 8-2 now. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Like, this should be comfortable. We've got some good back end arms. I'm not that sold on our the bottom of our bullpen, but the back end is pretty good. So I felt 8-2 was a safe lead. Davis Schneider came in, he hit for Nathan Lucas, and he ended up working a walk, and it's nice to see him get into a game. So I like that they're kind of rotating these guys early on, and I hope that's something that continues for these more these fringe pieces. Like, keep getting the guys in where it makes sense to get them in, and so that nobody's really just sitting over there rotting on the bench. I like that personally. Top of the 8th, Nick Sandlin came in. This doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to have a look here. Yeah, so they've missed out on the Brendan Little part here. They've got Nick Sandlin coming in for the 8th inning. That wasn't actually the case. What are they doing here? Yeah, so what happened was Brendan Little actually came into the game here, and he ended up leaving with an injury, an elbow injury. And then Nick Sandlin had to come in and finish it off for him. So I don't know why. I'm just looking at it on ESPN here, and they don't have that, but that is what happened. And unfortunately for Little, there was a pro and a con. He winced when he released, and it kind of looked like he was shaking out his shoulder a bit. So hopefully it's not a UCL injury. The good thing was he took a couple of throws afterwards, like a couple practice pitches, and the velocity was at least fine. He was still hitting 93 on those pitches, I noticed. The only problem was he was missing way off left, like way off arm side. And, in UCL injuries, you either see the big dip in velocity right away or a complete loss of control typically. Like, that's not 100% of the time, but that is kind of standard. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, velocity's good, but he seems to have completely lost control on those couple of throws. But anyways, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with an arm, so I won't immediately get too concerned that it's UCL. We'll wait to hear on what it actually was. Anyways, Stanley came in, got one out there to finish the inning. Soto came in and pitched for the Orioles and was lights out in the bottom of the 8th. He just struck everybody out. He hit Bo Bichette first, and then just Cade Vladdy, Cade Santander, and Cade Jimenez. He was actually just downright overpowering, 100 miles an hour just about from the left side. And Nick Sandlin came out to finish off the 9th. He made it interesting with the walks. He walked 3 guys. And you know what? Pitching back-to-back days this early on in the year, he still was an uncomfortable at bat. Nobody put any real contact on him. So he walked 3, didn't let up any hits, and he struck out 2 or 3. I think I have the box score up here. Let's just double check this. So yeah, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. So he had 1 to finish the 8th and then 1 in the ninth. So at least nobody's squaring him up. So that's, that's one positive there. Obviously he's not going to walk 3 guys an inning, or if he does, he's not going to hang around long. But he does seem to be very hard to square up, and he definitely has some swing and miss stuff. So you know what? Pros and cons there. And the ultimate pro was they finished off the game 8-2, drew the series even, and this is exactly why we don't get too high after a win like today, and we don't get too low after a loss like yesterday. Baseball's weird. 12-2 loss feels terrible in the moment. An 8-2 win feels pretty awesome, but you know what? It's a long season, and it's going to be a roller coaster. So yeah, we're happy that it's 1-1, and let's see what Game 3 has to bring. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the game. Were you watching it anywhere? The Apple TV streams, I know not everyone gets. Are we watching a stream? Let me know. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, okay? We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.